It all started when I moved to a small, quiet town after my divorce. I wanted a fresh start, far from the noise and chaos of my old life. The town was peaceful, the kind of place where everyone greeted you with a smile, where the streets stayed silent after dark. I rented a small house at the edge of the woods, unpacked my belongings, and tried to settle into a simple, calm existence. The air felt lighter there, and I thought I had finally found the peace I was searching for.
I've always loved history, especially hidden stories of forgotten places. Books have been my constant companions, my escape from reality. One rainy afternoon, craving that familiar comfort, I decided to visit the local bookstore. The shop was old, with creaking wooden floors and shelves that stretched up to the ceiling. The scent of dust and aged paper hung heavy in the air, making it feel like stepping into another world. It had a timeless quality, as though it had been waiting for me. The owner was a thin, pale man with sharp eyes and a crooked smile. His name was Mr. Kovac. He nodded as I walked in, the bell above the door jingling softly. "Looking for something special?" he asked, his voice raspy but oddly calm, like a whisper carried on the wind. "Just some books about local history," I replied, wiping rain from my jacket. His eyes lit up, a glint of something unreadable flashing across them. "Ah, I have exactly what you need." He bent down behind the counter and pulled out a thin, leather-bound book. The cover was dark and smooth, with no author's name. The title was peculiar: Whispers of the Forgotten. The leather felt warm in my hands, almost alive, like it was breathing with a slow, steady rhythm. I opened it. The words were handwritten, flowing like the thoughts of someone lost in their own mind. The ink looked fresh, as if written only yesterday. "What's it about?" I asked, curiosity piqued. Mr. Kovac's smile grew wider, his eyes gleaming with a strange delight. "It tells the story of a cursed town, a place where dark things happen. But be warned, some stories are better left unread." I laughed lightly, brushing off the eerie tone. "I'll take it."
He didn't charge me. "It's yours, but remember, don't get lost in its pages." That night, as rain tapped against the window, I started reading. The story was about a small, forgotten town cursed with mysterious deaths. People vanished without a trace or died in grotesque ways. Some were twisted and contorted, as if drained of their very souls. The descriptions were vivid, almost too vivid, pulling me deeper with every word. At first, it seemed like an ordinary horror story. But as I read further, something felt wrong. The descriptions of the town, its narrow streets, the old clock tower, even the names of shops, were uncannily similar to the town I had moved into. Each detail matched perfectly, down to the cracked cobblestones on Main Street. I told myself it was coincidence. Lots of towns look alike, I whispered to myself, trying to push the unease aside. But deep down, a gnawing fear took root and wouldn't let go. The more I read, the clearer the pattern became. The book described people with eerie precision, not their names but their roles and habits. A baker's wife, a fisherman, a grocer. Descriptions so vivid I could picture them perfectly. Each one met a grisly fate. First was the baker's wife. In the story, she was found dead in her kitchen, her face frozen in a silent scream. 2 days later, Mrs. Hargrove, the real baker's wife, was discovered in her kitchen, her face locked in the same expression of terror. I remember seeing the police tape fluttering in the wind outside her house, the whispers of neighbors filling the air. I stopped reading. My hand shook as I set the book down. "It's just a coincidence," I muttered, trying to calm my racing heart. But my mind churned with doubt. Every coincidence felt heavier,
like a chain tightening around my neck. I avoided the book for days. I placed it on my nightstand and ignored it, but it seemed to watch me. At night, when the house was silent, I could almost hear it whispering my name. The temptation to open it grew unbearable, its presence gnawing at the edges of my sanity. One night, I couldn't resist. The next victim was described as a man who loved to talk about the weather, someone with a familiar grin who spent afternoons by the pond. The details fit Tom Riker perfectly. The book described how he would be found drowned in shallow water, his face twisted in agony. The following day, Tom Riker, a man I had seen at the grocery store, laughing about a coming storm, was found dead in a shallow pond. His face was bloated, his eyes staring into nothing. Panic overtook me. I grabbed the book, marched outside, and threw it into the trash bin. I slammed the lid shut and walked away, my chest heaving with relief. But when I returned home, it was there, sitting on my table, open to the next chapter, as though it had never left. Fear turned to desperation. I needed answers. I stormed back to the bookstore and confronted Mr. Kovac, my breath coming in gasps. "The book," I said, my voice trembling. "It's real. It's killing people." He met my gaze with cold, unblinking eyes. "The story chooses you. You can't escape it." "Why me?" I whispered, my throat tightening like a noose. "You aren't the first." His words hit like a punch to the gut. I pressed him for more, my voice rising with desperation. "What does that mean? How long has this been happening?"
"The book returns every 10 years, he murmured almost wistfully. "It finds a new reader, a new storyteller for the curse." A shiver coursed through me. I left, my mind racing. That night, I searched for any mention of Whispers of the Forgotten, its origins, its victims. Old newspaper clippings revealed a chilling pattern. Every decade, a wave of unexplained deaths swept through the town. The victims matched the descriptions in the book. And always, there was a final entry. A man or woman, alone. Their eyes wide with terror, their mouth twisted in a scream. I decided to destroy it. I built a fire in the backyard and watched the flames lick the pages. The ink bubbled, the leather cover charred, and I felt a surge of hope as the smoke rose into the sky, carrying my fears with it. But the next morning, the book was back, on my nightstand, untouched, unburned, and the next chapter was about me. It described how I would be found. Alone in my house, my eyes wide with terror, my mouth twisted in a silent scream. I haven't slept since. I haven't left my house. The book, it's waiting. Now, in the silence of the night, I can hear it whispering my name over and over again.